Dan, what are your thoughts on Blade? Do you like him?
I love him. I mean, ever since Wesley Snipes stepped into that trench coat, it was all uphill from there for me at least. Well, I'm lying.
And his hockey pads, his giant chest covering hockey pads. What exactly did he need those for?
I don't know. Like he was never actually shot at, was he? Was he?
I think he was shot at by the cops.
Well, no. I remember the first movie that one scene where they shot at him. I was like, "Motherfucker, you crazy?"
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the cops. Remember, it wasn't the vampires that shot him. It was the cops inside the
Well,
hospital.
I mean, he needs that for modern day America. Let's face it. He's a day walker. He's
But
a black man. He probably wants a shot at every once in a while, and he's carrying a katana blade on his back.
I'd shoot him too. I don't care if he's black or a daywalker. If you're carrying around a katana and I have a gun, I'm gonna win. I gotta protect my family, man. I'm not gonna allow you to just carry a sword.
Well, if he was actually Blade, you will not win. There's no getting around that. He
That's
will
true.
slice your hand off.
I don't mind getting taken out by Wesley Snipes.
You,
He's a good
you
guy,
think
I
he still has
guess.
the chops for that though? I don't know.
I think they need to move on.
I think so too. They need to start over because Marvel now has the rights back to him. I can see them doing similar to what they did to Ghost Rider, find a way to weave him into the Agents of Shield series to keep it going.
Interestingly enough, did you know that Blade actually joined Shield during Civil War, and he led a government-funded vampire group known as the Vanguard, I
No,
believe.
I did not. Wait, is it Civil War One or Civil War Two?
Civil War One, I believe.
What?
Yeah, he joined up. He signed up. He was like, "Yeah, I'll sign that registration act."
See that's one of the Civil War tie-ins I never bought. So I had no
Yeah, me
clue.
neither.
Wait,
You never you never really see a whole lot of Blade offshoots. At least when I'm in the comic book store, I never see them. But I want to actually go back and read a couple because, like we were saying offline, he is a legitimate horror
yeah.
character. Like he has his origins steeped in Dracula and Van Helsing and all that. Like he's another tidbit people probably don't realize because everyone kind of grew up with Blade, the Wesley Snipes character, but the actual Blade character is from London. Like he's an English vampire hunter,
Hmm.
and I found that out, I was like, well, why did they? Well, all due respect to Wesley Snipes and how much I love that the first movie and the second movie really, because Guillermo del Toro does vampires like mwah. Just creepy stuff. But I would love to see like a British version of Blade. Like, could you imagine? Just think of this. We were given a Van Helsing movie with Hugh Jackman that is complete trash. Could you imagine if they made a Blade movie where he's basically fighting Dracula and teaming up with Van Helsing?
That would be amazing. But the thing is, like, so it's based in English horror roots, like via Marvel Comics in the '70s, I think, right? That's where the first comic book debuted.
Vampire Tales #8. That was his first solo comic. It was a black and white horror book.
Well, that's the thing. Marvel hopped on every single trend that was out there to keep the company going. So when comic books like Tales from the Crypt were popular, I can only imagine Marvel's like, oh, let's jump on this and create a superhero, just for a horror genre. And I found it pretty interesting that they create a black character for this. And at the same time, like the origin of Blade and how he came about was pretty interesting in terms of his mom was a pregnant prostitute who was bitten by a vampire and passed on some sort of enzyme into the child that made Blade at that point immune to vampire bites. Okay, so mother got bit, mother died during birth, and then he was raised in a brothel with the other prostitutes, if I got the story correct. And from there he came into he saved another vampire hunter who trained him to be a killer from that point on. So he never actually in the very beginning he never actually had any real superpower other than he was immune to vampire bites. And then the Blade movie tweaked things a little bit more. And then the super strength came in, and Daywalker and all that stuff. It's like even down to the weaknesses. The weakness of him needing blood was only came about during the movie when that premiered. Well, I mean, like let's be very honest. Blade was the kickoff to the Marvel universe. Officially, unofficially, if it wasn't for him and his success, we wouldn't have the Marvel movies you have today.
Yeah, it did. The movie did show that comic book movies can make more money than the previous iterations did, because there were the poor outings like the Captain America movie. But yeah, Blade actually took it just so happened to be a comic book. That's why I liked the first Blade movie. While it did have its flaws, it stands alone as just a vampire
Yeah.
movie. Pretty much, it's a horror movie.
There have been nights, I think, within the last year or so, I've watched the movie 3 times. Like I was, up late night. I was like, what do I want to do? Let's, download Blade and watch that. It's always fun. Like you can't beat that first, 10-minute scene of him fighting in the blood rave.
Yeah, the blood.
And then it just takes off from there. You're like,
said the blood rave is hilarious because he doesn't actually get bloody.
Yes. How do you avoid
because
that?
no blood falls on him. Yeah, he avoids every drop of blood.
But like a lot of things don't really, if you start breaking it down, how do you throw a blade and have it cut every vampire's neck off and come back to you in a circle?
Yeah, without losing any momentum.
Yes. It's like let's not try to ruin this for me right now. I still love the movie.
Hey, you said it, not me, man. All I said was he didn't get touched by blood. You're ruining the glaive part for yourself.
It's that okay?
Don't put that on me.
Blade, I can watch all the time. It's just a stupid fun movie. Like you just turn your brain off when you watch it. Blade 2 took a little more.
I like Blade 2. I like Blade 2 more because I'm a big fan of Guillermo del Toro, and I like his take on vampirism being like a virus, and he treats the vampires less like the what is it, like sexually charged beings. Like they're humans, but they just want to like bite, and it's ecstasy and all this other stuff that you get from all those old Dracula movies or the Twilight books or stuff, and he turns them into a parasite, and the ecstasy is exchanged for sustenance, and violently taking that life essence from the victim and becoming stronger with it.
And then then we could skip forward to Blade 3, which wasn't really a Blade movie, it just happened to be in it.
Oh, it was a travesty what happened to that movie.
You can tell that Wesley didn't want to be there, and the budget wasn't even there to keep him looking like Blade like he needs to, because the entire movie they had him wearing long sleeve shirts. So you no longer saw the tattoos. That means they didn't have to paint the tattoos on him.
Mm-hmm.
It was so weird watching that movie.
Also,
I remember sitting in the movie theater watching that movie. It's like, wait a second, this is a backdoor spinoff. This is not actually a Blade movie, and they actually handed off to Hannibal King and Whistler's daughter at the end.
And it wasn't. I would beg to differ. I wouldn't say it's a backdoor pilot, or backdoor pilot. That was a straight up pilot. That was not. That was no. There was no backdooring anywhere. That was straight up like, hey, we want to make a Hannibal King movie. We want to make a Night Stalkers movie. That's what they wanted to do. And maybe Blade will show up if we can get the funds to get him back. But if you haven't heard, and listeners, if you are so inclined, look up Patton Oswalt talking about the horrors of the director and Wesley Snipes working together on that movie. It is the best. It's on YouTube. It's the best thing you'll hear all night, except for this podcast. You'll This is to be the best thing, and that will be the second. No, you know what? I won't even undersell it. That that will be way better than anything we are going to say on this podcast. It's just I'm not even going to spoil what he says.
Patton
It's
Oswalt,
great. Go look it up.
he's always good at telling a story. And to be absolutely honest, once this is
Wonderful
done,
story, man.
I'm going to YouTube that myself because I'm very curious. Because I knew that it was a travesty. Like just watching how that movie's put together, just watching the cuts, you can tell Wesley did not want to be there half the time, and
Not half the time at
at
all.
all. And
At all.
you could tell that he was just pissed off that his screen time is being taken away.
There was enough footage of everyone else that they could have just made a separate movie
Mm-hmm.
with it. There was no reason to put the Blade title on it, and it did a disservice, really. Like if you, it could have sat on its own merit without Wesley Snipes and Blade, and just been some weird, you know, Night Stalkers slash not Night Stalkers vampire movie. Because hell, Triple H was in it. He's not a good actor.
Oh, I
All
forgot
right.
about that with the vampire Chihuahua. What was that?
Yeah, he had a vampire dog. Him and Parker Posey.
Just
Parker.
bringing back these memories where like I just kind of shoved them down deep and chose to forget about it.
Oh, it was a terrible movie.
And then
It was awful.
he fought Dracula himself,
Oh, and Dracula was the guy from Prison Break.
and who's now Heatwave on.
Dominic Purcell.
Yes, he's now playing Heatwave on
Who?
Legends of Tomorrow, which I love.
Yeah.
By the way, I love him in that character because it's so campy. You just gotta roll with it. Well,
He fits that character. He is not an ancient evil known as Dracula.
never.
Let's get that. Let's get that right out the door.
And whoever
right
came
now.
up with that character design for the actual manifestation of what Dracula is, it was horrible.
That weird demon. Yeah. Oh.
He looked like a lobster.
The more we talk about this, the more I really hate that movie. Like, I've seen it.
We have not even hit the television show yet.
Oh God. Yeah. Let's just keep shitting on this for a little bit. I saw Blade Trinity one time, and no joke, it seared itself into my brain. I remember all this stuff from one viewing. I had never looked it up again. I've never seen it again. Everything I am recalling has been burned into the back of my eyes because that movie was. I remember Dracula was like walking across a rooftop holding a child or something, and he like threw him off or some nonsense. And I'm sitting there watching, saying, I don't get why Dracula is so. Why is Dracula okay in the sunlight? That was my first thing. I don't get why is he a daywalker? He shouldn't be that. That's Blade's thing.
Yes.
I was very confused that entire movie. And then Ryan Reynolds was exhausting.
Yes.
Exhausted. He was like auditioning for Deadpool for like 20 years. Just like, dude, take it down a notch.
And then Jessica Biel wasn't that bad. I mean, she wasn't given that much to do, and she could fight. Right? I liked her character. Okay. I liked her gadgets. I agree that Hannibal King was exhausting. I agree that
so exhausting. He would not shut up.
Be there, and then Dracula himself was just a poor excuse for a character.
But you see, like that's the weird thing is that all the movies kind of touch upon Blade's history, whereas Deacon Frost is the guy who turned him into a vampire by biting and killing his mom in the comics. And in the first movie, we have Deacon Frost do the same thing, except they bring the mother back. In Blade Trinity, he fights Dracula, which is a thing that Blade's consistently fought and tried to kill Dracula. He is basically a Van Helsing or a Belmont from Castlevania. So in Blade Trinity, he actually gets to take on Dracula, which is another part of Blade's history. I don't know if there is I guess you can say that Blade 2, the whole Blood Pack, is the Vanguard from Civil War, but the Vanguard it comes after that.
Yeah.
But you can still have that weird tie, that time jump tie. So all the movies try and touch upon Blade's history, but none of them actually go full hog horror movie, straight up like hardcore horror movie with Blade, which I think would be really interesting. We'll save that for the Forge,
Okay.
and we'll double back and talk about Sticky Fingers as Blade on the 2006 live action series, which aired on Spike TV.
I remember trying to keep up with the show. I remember seeing the first 3 episodes, and I was like, he's not fighting. He doesn't know how to fight. This does not look convincing. It's like, oh, and he can't act either. How did he get this role? Why did somebody give him this role?
I was so confused
Yes.
by that casting.
Like
Now,
give Dule Hill the role or something. Like give something that can act and move.
shout out to Dule Hill.
Mhm.
I think I'm with you. I tried to follow the series. I watched 1.5 episodes. Every episode was more boring than the last.
Yes.
I I could not get behind it. I liked when he was on screen. I liked his look. I did not buy him on a TV show, but I think he works in bursts on screen and not so much like in an ongoing series.
Like to me on a television series, he'd work like Batman in the background, like work in the background somewhere, pops every once in a while, saves somebody, and disappears into the night. Because I think Wesley Snipes proved it. The first movie was fun, but keep in mind that what kept those movies going are the actors he had around him. Because Blade was a very one-dimensional character.
I think he works the same way the Punisher worked on the Daredevil season 2 series, where you have to give him a motivation and then make him a force of nature.
Mm-hmm.
He can't be. I don't feel like Blade should be a sympathetic character. He like bad things have happened to him, but he's immortal,
Mm-hmm.
and he gets the upper hand in most of his encounters, if not all. I mean, he's half. He's not immortal, but he kind of he doesn't age. He heals rapidly. He's a vampire. He can walk in the daylight. He can't be turned into a full vampire. He's immune to like he's the best of both worlds. Like, how do you feel sympathy for him?
What would be a good foil for Blade? Like, what would make him interesting is like in the long term for people to keep coming back because he's had a few comic book series pop up here and there, but they went away just as quickly as they came.
Okay, so how about this? We're gonna just dive into the Forge
Let's do it.
right now. So, how do we make Blade more interesting? I think you have to depower him a lot. I think he can't be immortal. I think he can be. I think it'd be interesting if he feeds, he gains life, like Dorian Gray in the painting. Like if he feeds on a human, he gains some years back. Maybe he gets a little younger, gets a little stronger for a certain amount of time or something.
Mm.
I would love for him to have that mental battle with I have to do this to keep going, and I have to kill Dracula. I'm gonna stick with my Dracula story. I have to do this to keep going. I have to defeat Dracula. Once Dracula's dead, I can die. I don't care after that.
Mm.
And he's doing it because Dracula changed him into a vampire, killed his mom, killed the whole brothel full of ladies, killed his mentor, everyone that Dracula's touched has died. Everyone he loves is dead. Now he's going after him. Have that. He knows he's still human, but he has to feed on other humans so that he can continue to fight this evil, and he tries to justify it by saying it's a greater good. Then at least you have some sort of conflict between some internal conflict. He's not infallible, he's not immortal, and you can make him, instead of being some highly proficient in all martial arts like everyone else is in every other comic book movie ever, make him okay at one thing and have him study as he continues to go along. Like, it's always interesting to watch someone get better.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you come in mid train where he's getting better at kickboxing, or or I don't know, jujitsu or something, and you get to follow his journey at becoming better. Maybe he has like a every town he goes to, he seeks out the best person that they have to train him, and he just picks up tidbits and creates his own style. You know, following him on a journey where he's not this superpowered being; he's just a guy trying to do right by doing wrong stuff.
And I feel as if he has to put down that, dispense with the meathead type of personality that we've grown accustomed to, especially with the Wesley Snipes iteration of Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're speaking, I'm trying to think to myself, like, what sort of personality would this character have? Say let's keep in mind he is a black character,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what aspect of his community and his culture would he bring with him everywhere he goes that would make you not sympathetic, relate more to him as a
Mm-hmm.
character, right? It's like
I think it's
it's like we
yeah,
already spoke about, like, I would definitely like to keep him an English character.
for sure. I think that's a very interesting aspect that's been overlooked, and I think it brings a little flavor to the
Mm-hmm.
character. Because how many like English black characters do you have anywhere?
Luther, and say any black character out there, like, Idris Elba plays him. There's no getting around.
Yeah, I can get by. I can get behind that.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Hell, now that you say that, now that you say that, now that you say that, Idris Elba would be a dope pick.
it's like I see you picture him as like a big Idris Elba character. I picture him as sticking to the back alleys, gaunt, only driven by his desire to kill vampires and kill Dracula himself. So he's a little beat up, he's a little weary, he's a little gaunt. And to be absolutely honest, like, have you seen John David Washington?
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
That's who I think of playing a Blade, with the with the unshaved hair. I can do without the tribal tattoos, because let's face it, that was a product of the '90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, like, kind of, not necessarily fro, but like unkempt hair. The beard's growing out a little bit, and his wardrobe fits his lifestyle and what he's trying
Mm-hmm.
to do. So, like, anything he has would be concealing weapons. His clothes be a little beat
Yeah,
up, but it'd be tactical.
yeah. He only carries what he needs. He earned the name Blade because he's proficient with blades. Like maybe that's his skill that is better than everyone else's. I would love to keep like the bandolier of blades that they have him outfitted with,
Mm-hmm.
so that he has kind of like this underneath his shirt. There's just more blades under. Like he always has a blade for every situation. Like, oh, I could pick this lock. I could use this blade. Like it becomes less of like I'm gonna kill you with this blade, but like he's almost obsessed with them for some reason. Like he's like I can get into this window, but I need this, carbon fiber, blah blah blah. Like he can name what it is,
Mm-hmm.
and he can open up a window with it. Or he's like, oh, I need to, cut this steak. I'm going to use this, Windsor flip switchblade or something. Like he always has a knife somewhere.
I can literally see him in the original '70s get up. Minus the green jacket. Change it, call the jacket, and give him a freaking T-shirt, for God's sakes. But I can see him in that streetwear. It's like, if okay, so let's back up a little bit. Like, if nobody knows what the original Blade looks like, think of the most stereotypical '70s character you could think of. Black man with a fro, right? And with this fro,
The go to.
yes, and he is wearing these big yellow or green ski goggles for protection, and then a trench coat. And then it's like, what do you call the leather strap on his shoulder, holding a
The
bunch of
bandolier.
picks in it. Steaks, not picks, sorry,
I
steaks.
yeah, steaks. Um, I kind of hate that outfit.
Really?
I do. And there it's weird because I kind of love Luke Cage's outfit, and it's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as campy. I kind well maybe it is. I hate the shades. The coat, I guess, is fine, but it's not. It makes him stand out so much. Like, why would the stakes be outside
Oh,
the jacket? They should be inside. The jacket should be black or dark or brown or something. Darker colored. Should be a little longer, a little more, like you said, tactical. Maybe there's like it's buckled hard to his body, like he would have some sort of camo jeans or something. I don't know. There's something about that outfit that I just don't like. Maybe it's the afro. It's the color palette and the afro and the glasses.
I'm okay with the glasses. Especially for the time, I'm okay with the glasses. I don't know how well it would transfer to the modern day. If we redo this character in modern day, like the stakes on the outside of the jacket need to go. Like he has to be able to conceal those a little better.
I think it doesn't need to be modern day. I think you should take it way far back, like 1500s or something.
Like Van Helsing.
Very much so, yes. Because then you add in uh, the race aspect that gets really weird. Can he travel? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what's the world like? What fighting styles are back then? Does he create some funky quasi future fighting style to fight vampires? Does he team up with Van Helsing? Does Van Helsing team up with him? Is Van Helsing a woman? Like this is all like maybe he's older than Van Helsing. Van Helsing's like a teenager, and Van Helsing learns everything from Blade.
So are you saying Van Helsing? Not Van Helsing. Blade was created like back in the Jack Ripper times.
Yeah, just like get make steep it in that horror
Oh,
culture. Get
oh,
get
time out. What if Jack the Ripper was actually a vampire and he's the one that killed Blade's mom and made Blade who he was?
I'm on board. I like that idea. I like the idea of Jack the Ripper being a vampire because that would, no one knows who he was and they'd have no idea what he looked like. Maybe he was a straight up vampire.
I'm down. I'm down for that. Guaranteed that's been done somewhere before. Somebody's already, had that story of Jack the Ripper was a vampire. I don't care.
That's fine, but I bet he wasn't fighting
Yeah,
Blade. He
exactly.
wasn't fighting
Internet,
Blade.
deal with it. I don't care who's
Yeah,
out there right now. This is our story to be told. And I'm totally down for that.
I like the aspect of having him fight Jack the Ripper and Jack the Ripper being a vampire. I also like this. I think this idea is worth just saying out loud. What if Jack the Ripper, instead of killing all the prostitutes, was just turning them into like a army of vampire ladies that Blade would then have to fight?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
So it's like, oh, he killed another prostitute.
Well, no,
No,
no. It's like
she
keep
got
in
back up.
mind at that time, Jack the Ripper would not be turning them into vampires for Blades, to kill Blade. They'd be killing other vampire hunters. So the other at that point was Jamal. Okay, so going back to his origin, it was not Whistler who trained Blade. It was his friend Jamal, who happened to be a trumpet playing vampire hunter.
Mm-hmm. A jazz musician or something like that.
Yes. See, folks, you're learning stuff.
Yeah. I like the idea of everyone thinking Jack the Ripper was killing these ladies, and he was actually collecting them
Mm-hmm.
into this weird vampiric hive mind where it wasn't a sexual thing; it was more of a I want to take over, you know, London
Mm-hmm.
thing, and let's go hunt these vampires across the world. I need an army, pretty much. Like there's too many people trying to kill me. I need an army. Is Jack the Ripper the incarnation of Dracula? So not Dracula in name, but that character. Like they give this name Jack the Ripper to this entity, and that entity is what Dracula would be.
Yeah. It's like
I think.
right now, I think I would go for the more of a minion of Dracula, and have you work
Mhm.
your way up the ladder. Let's not make him Dracula the first season at least. Let's build up the.
No, I'm saying that you don't even call him Dracula. I'm saying that the thing that would be Dracula that everyone says is that, I fought Dracula. He doesn't have a name. He it's kind of like what was uh that stupid apocalypse thing, like people have called me Yahweh, people have called me
Oh,
this, people
yeah,
have
yeah,
called me
yeah.
that, but I have no name, kind of thing. So people have called me Dracula. People in London called me Jack the Ripper. Someone in Kansas called me the Wolfman, but I am just I'm eternal.
I don't know how I feel about that because like I would like to keep the entire monster world open just for Blade. So you know, delegating Dracula to be all those things at once. I think we should hold off. Like I think Dracula at that point should be hanging in the hanging in the background for a little while and building upon that.
So does is Jack the Ripper then like a minion of sorts?
Yes, that's what I think. I feel as if he should be a minion.
But then I mean, Jack the Ripper is a very strong idea.
Mhm.
Uh, I think it's a lot stronger than Dracula. That's why I tried to see if it makes sense that this entity would be known as Dracula. I mean, I think you can open up the monster world just fine,
Mhm.
but I think having such a personality and such a historical monster like Jack the Ripper, who is an actual person, be this mythical creature gives more weight to the idea of Dracula, because we were talking about earlier, like how do you do that without it's all been done before. So I think
All right, so I think we should
give
we should stick with that. So the first arc, we have the reader thinking he's chasing after Jack the Ripper the entire time, and then his Blade story starts to unfold, and it turns out that Blade is actually part vampire, and he's actually chasing Dracula. Like I feel as if the first arc of that book should be Blade finding out exactly what it is. Like the entire time, Blade's being raised to be a hunter, but he doesn't actually know what he's hunting. He knows he's hunting a bad guy, right? He knows he's hunting the person that killed his mother, that killed his friends, right? That killed his mentor, right? But he doesn't necessarily know what he is, and it's going to be slowly revealed as the arc goes on. Like finding a way to cleverly do that, like keep you engaged with the character himself.
hmm
Like we could start this entire arc and not actually even call it Blade, right? It could be that twist at the end. It's like, oh, this is where we're actually going. Like we could create a compelling character, a black character who's growing up in this time that had his mother killed, and had his mentor killed. And the mentor the entire time was training him, but never really told him why he was being trained. Like, you want to find the person that killed your mother, you need to know how to do this. So Blade grows to be this quasi badass who's also a little clever, right? But still sort of a meathead in terms of like he has his sole goal of finding this one person. And when he finally finds this one person, the entire world opens up to him. It's like, oh wait, this is more than I thought it was going to be. And I'm a little excuse me, I'm a little overwhelmed. This is a little over, this is above my pay grade. And him having at that point at the end of the arc, having to readjust to his new worldview and understanding like this is what I now have to live up to, and this is what I now have to be. Like I feel that at the end of the first arc, he got his ass kicked and handed to him, and Dracula tried to bite him and realized that his bite didn't work, and it's like maybe Blade's blood is now poisonous to Dracula. So when Dracula bites him, he has to retreat into the darkness and heal. That way, Blade doesn't actually die. So Blade now has to pick
I,
himself up, and that second arc is now him fighting who he now knows to be Dracula and learning the history behind it on top of that as well. Too much?
I no, not too much. I think the Dracula thing gets a little. I think the name Dracula is the thing that's my problem. that's why I liked the idea of him like seeing in a newspaper or hearing a town crier talk about this character called Jack the
Oh yeah,
Ripper
sorry, sorry. Yeah,
who's killing chicks.
I didn't make that clear. No, like my whole thing is like, yeah, keep him Jack the Ripper the entire time for that entire arc, and then at the
Okay.
end when Blade is finally face to face with this Jack the Ripper character, his whole world opens up. Like, wait a second, this is more than just some crazy dude slitting women's necks in the back alleys. This is a man trying to, or an entity trying to create an army.
Or who has amassed a small army and is continuing to grow it. I like him trying to overcome insurmountable odds and maybe failing.
Mm-hmm. I'm all for him failing.
Most
Here.
most likely failing.
Yes.
Like having vampirism kind of spread and him being like unable to hold back the floodgates. It's just like I'm looking for help. I'm trying to tell people I'm fighting as many as I can. I'm chasing this person that everyone calls Jack the Ripper across London. I'm traveling on boats and I'm running into him like almost Carmen San Diego esque. Like where did he go? Is he over here? And then I take a boat and then I find a vampire nest, and he carries around a map and he's like crossing places off and circling and making notes. Like I like the idea. I kind of like the idea of him being just kind of OCD a little
Yes.
bit,
Absolutely.
not not only with the knives but just with like tracking. Like he has his sword and he has like a giant notebook that just has notes and drawings and sketches of insides of vampires, and like he's done weird autopsies by himself. Like he doesn't know what the hell he's looking at, but he'll draw it, and he's just like sketches and scratches and newspaper clippings and tickets to countries that he's been to remind him. He's like, I went here already. I went here already. Like he's just really obsessive about it, and he's just chasing this character across the world. And then like at the end, he realizes that not only has he been chasing this guy and losing, but the other dude's been winning.
Yep.
Like he's been changing everybody. And when he looks back on his travels, he realizes that he just chased this dude across the globe and he succeeded in building this army. And now he has to either kill this dude or amass his own army without dying first. Like I love the idea of him just constantly failing to kill Dracula and Dracula unable to kill him, because I like that poison idea. Like I can't bite you and change you into someone like me. I can't bite you at all. Like your blood is like half tainted with some crap stock and human. So there's nothing I can do to you. But you can't kill me because you're weak. Like you don't know how to defeat me. And you anger me. Your existence angers me.
Because
But I have a
with all that being
but I have
said,
a
Dracula cannot break his spirit because he is so OCD about the life he's chosen to create for himself that he's just gung ho in terms of like I will stop you in one way or another, come hell
singular
or high
focus.
water.
Singular focus, no wavering. It's down to the people feel like he's uh insane.
I can
Like he's just
I can
like he
almost
only
see
talks about
him as
a single
I
thing.
can almost see him as a like a wayward man child. You know, where the intelligence is there, but it only shows in the light of he's hunting vampires. You could tell he like an idiot savant, right? But he never grew past his childhood stage because that's where he's emotionally stunted.
Mm, I don't know about stunting him emotionally. I like the idea of him being singularly focused, but I wouldn't want to make him like a not aware of certain things or with the mind of a child, because then it gets into weird territory. Then like I think he should be a fully grown man. Like he could be like either one of us. Like we can get singular focus
Mm-hmm.
and obsess over something, but we don't have to be like a child about it. I like the idea of him so focused that he's blind to see that he's losing.
Absolutely.
Just like I'm going to win. I can't not win. And then he stops one day in a nice self reflective moment and says, "This whole time I'm saying I can't lose, and I lost." It's basically that I'm going to chase this one vampire. Every other vampire that gets in my way, I'm going to kill. But this one is going to get it. This for this Blade version, that one just so happens to be the king,
Mm-hmm.
and the king just so happens to have it out for him as well. There's like this mutual, and even if we take it back to Jack the Ripper being the one who killed his mom, there's like a paternal struggle there too. He's like, I'm kind of your dad, and he knows it, and he's just like, I'm going to kill you, dad. Like, you did this to me. You've ruined my life. You're you're doing everything you're doing is the worst thing ever.
But,
I have to stop
but
you.
see,
And
like
his father's like,
that's where the whole notion of the petulant child comes from, because
mm-hmm.
the way you just described that, the tone you took on, almost had that like that petulant child type of tone. It's like, I hate you, dad.
Everything you did was wrong, and I'm paying for it. So I'm going to stop you. And the other guy's like, you're not worthy of me even killing you. I can't even do it. You disappoint me so much. Like I couldn't even change you. Like, he's his one mistake. He's like, I can change all these prostitutes into my hive mind, but you, son, are the only one who got everything I don't have. You can walk in the daylight. You're not allergic to garlic. You don't have to drink blood. I have to do all those things. I couldn't even turn you. Like, you are a disappointment, and I'm still jealous of you.
It works.
It's like this horrible like clashing of father and son. So let's do a quick round of what he looks like, what this forged up Blade character looks like, and then we'll call it a show.
All right.
So are we gonna stick with the old school coat, or are we gonna get more like Victorian England esque with it?
If we are sticking to the Blade in Victorian England, we have to come up with a Victorian costume, something that would fit in that day and age.
Victorian England fashion is very suit and top hat.
But you're thinking of the aristocratic, like the upper class. Garrett's like, I think of gangs in New York when I think of Victorian.
They had top hats.
Yeah, Victorian England. But, not as fashionable. Like, things are a little beat up and stuff like that. Victorian England. I'm looking at
lots of
fashion
vests
right now.
Yeah, lots of vests, top hats, overcoats, tweed jackets.
Yes. I mean, do we want him to be scruffy? What are we looking for?
I think I like the idea of the Denzel Washington's son, the gaunt, almost sickly. I wish I was more informed on Victorian England, like street wear.
It's like I'm thinking long trench coat, because he's going to have to hide the weapons in one way, shape, or form. He's going to be wearing a vest, just a button-up vest.
Mm-hmm.
Button down shirt under it. Still looking scruffy.
Suspenders.
I don't know.
I believe there are suspenders.
I mean, I say when I'm thinking those suspenders will have blades attached to it, or some sort of weaponry attached to them. So yes, let's go with that.
Instead of suspenders, he has like bandoliers that go across his chest that could hold his pants up.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the knives in them.
I'm trying not to go what do you call that? Steampunk? But my brain keeps drifting towards that. I don't want to.
Let it drift, man. This is a fantasy. Why are you stopping?
All right, okay, fine. So
do whatever you want.
So I'm thinking of like the leather bandolier, or it's like over his chest, trench coat on top. Hell, we could keep the top hat. right? Have the fro pop out from under it, still have them look a little scraggly. Dude, I can put this together in 24 hours, not even, and show you exactly what I'm talking about. But can we keep the glasses in any way, shape, or form? We have to get rid of those because I like the glasses.
I hate the glasses. I hate them so much. I'm not opposed to glasses. I just hate those.
Like the reason I'm thinking keeping the glasses is more like for safety. So he's kind of a vampire, nothing squirts into his eye.
Oh, okay, I get it. I get it. I'm gonna use one veto power and say not those glasses. I hate them so much, man. They're so bad. They're so bad, man.
All right, so I'll find a way to work around those then.
You could just do goggles. Goggles are good. You said steampunk. They love goggles in steampunk.
And he has to wear like thick leather gloves, with like thick fingerless leather gloves. So when he gets bit, they won't go through. He won't get his skin pierced.
I like the idea of spring-loaded knives.
Mm-hmm.
Lean into that like blade title.
All right. Okay.
I like the idea that he has knives for every situation, everywhere. Like maybe there's knives in his gloves, just knives wherever the hell he can put them. Just like I got a knife here and I got a knife here, and he's really good with them.
Maybe he gets mistaken for Jack the Ripper at one point when he's coming up.
Yes. He's carrying so many knives. You got to be Jack the Ripper. I'm not.
Absolutely.
You kind of fit the profile. He's my dad. What? Yes, obviously, yes. Of course they're going to think it.
Yes, that absolutely works.
So I think that's enough for us to go on, for you guys to chew on. Think about what kind of blade you guys would want to make. We had some fun in the forge creating a Victorian England petulant child type blade who's OCD and travels the world looking for his Jack the Ripper Dracula hybrid father. And maybe his mom's still a prostitute. I don't think we ever landed on it.
No, I'm going to keep her that way because, Jack the Ripper was going out killing prostitutes, correct?
All right, yeah. We'll stick with the mama was a prostitute.
All right.
And Papa was a Rolling Stone. That is our Blade episode, everyone. Please like and subscribe on iTunes. Head on over to Instagram and Twitter. You can follow us there. Follow Dan on his Instagram. There are links in the show notes. You want to give them the names of your many Instagram accounts?
Yes. My main Instagram account is _basement_monster. The second one is The Carnival Prince, at The Carnival Prince.
Awesome. You can follow Super Black at Super Black PC on Instagram, Super Black Says on Twitter. Head over to the website, drop a comment, send us a note. Do whatever you want. Enjoy the podcast. Mainly subscribe and rate on iTunes 5 stars if you like it. Tell your friends, tell your grandmother. She knows who Blade is. This guy's been around since the 70s. This has been Super Black, and we are out, folks. Full stop.
See you later.